Hi, I'm Amanda, and in this video, I'm going to show you some of the top financial comparison websites for life insurance quotes. So, the thing to know about life insurance is that there are several factors that can affect your price. One of those is whether you're going to have a term or a whole policy. Term policies are for a limited period of time, usually somewhere between 10 and 30 years. And then whole policies are a type of permanent life insurance that lasts throughout your lifetime. And so those are going to be a little more expensive. There are also life insurance riders, which are optional add-ons. Those can cost more. You also have to determine how much coverage you'll need. And then also demographic factors like your age, your gender, also your health conditions. Those can affect the price also. So when we're looking at these different websites, one of the best ones is bestmoney.com. They have information on a lot of different financial products and types of insurance, life insurance being one of those. They do have a full ranking list of life insurance companies, which is up to date, and it is detailed as well. So they rank them based on things like popularity, brand reputation, features and benefits, and then they also have detailed write-ups about each company, which is really helpful. They also have filters when you're looking for a quote based on your age and income, which can help you kind of match up with a company that might meet your needs. And they do have quite a few options available, which is great because some sites really are kind of limited in the number of companies that they'll show you. And then also, when you're looking at whole life insurance, it's just for age. They don't factor in income. But the good thing is that they also have information on universal life insurance, which is a different type of permanent life insurance, and then final expense insurance as well, which is for funeral costs. So that's just some extra information they have. And then when it comes to like some of the drawbacks of Best Money, they don't have an interactive calculator to determine how much coverage you'll need. Some websites have that, but they do not. They do, however, have this article that kind of shows you the different formulas you can use, but not an interactive calculator. And then the thing also is that the way that this site works, and most of them do, is that it directs you to each individual website. So you can't you'll have to input your information on each site basically to get a quote from each one. You can't just input your information once and then get multiple quotes. It doesn't work that way. So that's kind of what to know about Best Money. Another popular site is insurance.com. Like Best Money, there's a lot of different insurance products that they have information on. One of the good things about insurance.com is they do have an interactive calculator. You can input information about your debt, income, education, funeral costs, and then other information like retirement information and other details like that. And it will give you an idea of how much coverage you need, which is really helpful. Insurance.com, they also have information about final expense insurance, which is helpful. They also have filtering based on location and age, similar to Best Money. So when we click on this, you will see though that the options are pretty limited. So this is just an example of a zip code and age range and coverage amount, and also if you're having term or whole. So they do have final expense insurance on there in addition to term and whole, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now is term insurance. So they only give you two different companies. Compare that to Best Money, which gave me, I believe, around 7. So it is a lot less. Another drawback is that they, similar to Best Money, you do have to go on each individual site and input your information to get a quote. So that can take some time. But the good thing about insurance.com is they do publish rankings also. So they rate them based on, they have an overall rating, customer satisfaction ranking. You can see how the rank changed between 2024 and 2025. So this can be helpful to kind of narrow down which company you want to look at. So that is pretty helpful also. So that's kind of how insurance.com works. Policygenius is another site. The thing about Policygenius is it is a little different than the other ones in that it is a broker, so you can buy insurance through them, but you can't do that through the other sites we'll be looking at. So it is a little different as far as that goes, but it does work pretty similarly as far as giving you information. One good thing about Policygenius is that it does give you, they do have this feature to kind of get a quick estimate of how much life insurance will cost. So if we I'll just put in their samples here, and then you pick your gender, policy length, coverage amount, and it'll give you kind of an idea of how much it'll cost depending on your health. So that just is a good feature. It's not going to be like 100% accurate. You'll have to get a quote for that, but it is pretty helpful. They do have, unlike the other ones, like a centralized online form to get information. So you do have to hit this button called Get Life Insurance to do that. So you fill out your information once, and then you get multiple quotes. So that is pretty helpful and pretty centralized. But it is a lengthy form. I started filling it out myself, and it does take a ton of time and a lot of information. So I just kind of stopped before I even got quotes. So that is the thing to know, is that it is going to take a while, but ideally you will get accurate quotes after you fill it out. They do have a calculator, though their calculator is not as detailed as the one from insurance.com. They just require some basic information: date of birth, income, if you have a spouse or partner, children, household debt, and household savings. So that can give you kind of an idea, but they don't factor in things like funeral costs, education expenses, retirement. Those are things that were in insurance.com's calculator that aren't in Policygenius's. And then they also do have ratings and reviews, which is good. They give you a detailed ratings out of 5 and reviews as well. You can click in, well, that one isn't up, but that's kind of a problem, but you can read through these and see how they stack up and what the information is. The cons to Policygenius, one of them, like I said, is that the form takes a long time to fill out. That's just going to take a while, but it is what it is. The other thing is that although they do have detailed reviews, this is a little bit outdated. These are for 2024 and it's now 2026, so it's over a year outdated. So some of the information is going to be out of date. I noticed here, they have information for Haven Life, which they mention here as of January 2024. It's no longer accepting life insurance applications, so that's kind of some outdated information. So this could be more current, potentially. And then, their calculator, it is helpful, but it is missing some inputs that could give you a more accurate idea about coverage. So that's kind of how Policygenius works. The next one we're going to look at is Value Penguin. It does have, like the other ones, information on a lot of different types of insurance, including life insurance. So we will get to that. As you can see, there's filters based on zip code, insurance type, age. I'll just type it in and get a quick idea. This is kind of a drawback of Value Penguins, kind of like insurance.com. I typed in my information and I only get one company. So that is pretty limited. Best Money gave me like I said, 7 or 8. This just gives me 1. So that's pretty limited in comparison to that, but I mean, it can be helpful depending on what you need. But so that's kind of the thing about Value Penguin. They do have reviews about different companies that you can click on and read detailed reviews about each of them. They don't, however, rank the companies against each other, so you can't really easily see how they stack up. You'll just kind of have to decide for yourself after reading the reviews. But they do have detailed reviews, which is helpful. They also have insurance agents available. You can call this number to speak with a licensed insurance agent 24/7, which is another helpful resource. And then they also have just some information here. This is kind of helpful to see how smoking status and age can affect the price of life insurance. So that's pretty interesting to look at, and also just good to know. So like I said, one of the drawbacks to Value Penguin is that the number of companies that they connect you with is pretty limited. It just gave me one company. They also don't have a calculator, and like I said, they don't have rankings. They just have reviews. So lastly, we'll take a look at the Zebra. As you can see, their main thing is auto insurance, but they do actually have information on like a ton of other types: home insurance, renter's insurance, and life insurance. So when we look at their life insurance information, you will see you input information about from your zip code, age, coverage amount, gender, and then you will get partners. So they do give you quite a few. This is a lot better than Value Penguin. They give me 5 of them here, so that's pretty good. So they have several partners to choose from. This filtering that can help match you with the right company. They also have a life insurance guide, just some educational information about life insurance. It gives you just kind of an overview of the basics, also about life insurance riders, and also the taxability of life insurance payouts, which is also really helpful information. So that is pretty good. Now, the thing about the Zebra is that they don't have a calculator. They just don't have as robust of a website. No calculator, no reviews, no rankings. So it is more bare bones as far as that goes. I mean, it does the job. It can connect you with a company, but it is less detailed as far as that goes and has less features. So all of these websites can help you pick out a policy and get a quote. So that is pretty good. Most people will benefit from looking at multiple sites just to get information from multiple sources and kind of decide for themselves. That's just a common approach to make. Just make sure that you're doing adequate research. But if you're picking like one top website, it's hard to go wrong with bestmoney because you don't have to. I mean, the good thing about it is you get a lot of partners to choose from. That's kind of the main thing. You get a lot of choices. It's just they give you a lot to choose from. It's pretty comprehensive. They may not have a calculator, but that's all right. You can go elsewhere to get your calculator, but then go through them to maybe get a quote. They give you a lot of choices, and that's just really the main advantage is the number of choices they give you, the rankings, the reviews. So they do have a lot of information available that can help you make a decision. So it's just a lot better than like insurance.com or Value Penguin as far as the number of partners they have, although those sites also have valuable features as well. So I would recommend looking at multiple different websites and kind of doing your own research. These are all good sites and they all have their own advantages and drawbacks. It's just you want to do your own research and really get a good idea of what you need before purchasing a policy. So I hope this helps you kind of get an idea of what resources are out there when you're looking for a quote. So thank you.